Hey, I'm John Crestani, and in this video, I'll be walking you through the 4 bullet points I have, CCDQ, of how you can host a good webinar, and also be showing you what a good follow-up sequence is so you can make your online training session a total hit. So hosting an online webinar isn't very complicated, and I'm going to break it down very simply here. I host a lot of webinars for my business. One side of my business is I actually train people on my own business model, which is called affiliate marketing. Basically, I'm selling other people's products on a commission-only basis. If you want to learn more about that, just subscribe to my channel and you get a free course. Now, I've broken it down into 4 different steps, CCDQ. And the first thing you want to do to host a good webinar is make sure you have a very strong internet connection. You can go to speedtest.net to check your internet connection, and you want to make sure you have a good up and down speed. So up and down means, a lot of people have fast download speeds, but you want to make sure you have an up speed of at least a couple megabytes per second, at least 5 megabytes per second. The other thing I would recommend you do, so again, be on a sound internet connection. You don't know how many people I've seen that have tried to perform a webinar only to get cut off midway through or something like that. What I would recommend you do is you use GoToWebinar, the most common webinar program, and call in from the landline. Okay. Now, if you call in on your phone, if you're somewhat worried about your internet connection, GoToWebinar gives you an option to literally just dial in a number. So the audio is on a telephone connection, whereas your video is on your internet connection. This gives you kind of a backup in case your internet connection is a little bit spotty. People will still be able to hear you on your phone. You'll still be able to hear them. Second thing is do a sound and video check when you begin. Make sure your audience is, hears you and sees your screen. And what I would do is simply just put up a slide or put up your first visual and ask the audience, say, hey, can you press 1 if you hear me all right and if you see the screen all right? And you tell them what the screen is supposed to say. Say the screen is supposed to be a big picture of me and my dog, or whatever you're showing. That way, you just have confirmation from your audience that everything's cool. If you don't see anything in the chat, that's probably a sign that you're not connected correctly and you'll need to address that. Here's an extra thing, I just remembered this, is I would actually recommend you use 2 screens. Webinars, what I do, I don't always do this, but I always try to do this, is have a second screen up. Have the screen you're using to present on, and then have a second screen where you can put the chat, for GoToWebinar, you can put whatever the questions people are asking, and you can also put a list of the attendees out. So what I do is I'll set my second screen up and my attendees and the questions people are asking on my other screen, just so I can keep tabs on what the audience is saying as I'm going through my presentation. Some people find this distracting. If you're new to performing webinars, it might be distracting to see people asking questions and you might feel like you need to answer them, or seeing people leave. That can be really disheartening if you're performing for an audience of 100 people and you just see, people are saying, oh, this is boring, or, oh, I don't understand what you're talking about, and you get all self-aware and self-conscious. So maybe you don't want the chat up and the attendees up because maybe that'll distract you from the material you're delivering. I personally find it useful, but then again, I've done it quite a few times. Next thing I would say to do is when you begin your webinar, ask the audience to minimize their distraction. I always tell people a few things. I say, hey, if you could turn off the ringer on your phone and flip it down so that you don't see those blinky lights. Phones are designed to really just suck our attention away from us. And even if somebody's phone is on silent, you have these blinky lights on the top now that just blink if you get a message or a notification or whatever. So I always tell people, flip your phone down so it's facing the desk, put it on silent. On GoToWebinar, you can't be in any other tabs, but I do ask people, I say, please, close any other tabs that you're using that are up. And also I ask people to, turn off their TV or, close the door to the room they're in or whatever they need to do so they could focus on the material that I'm about to deliver. There are so many distractions people have in their lives. It can be a bit overwhelming. Life and technology companies are literally designed to take our attention away from, from other people. I mean, I could go on and on about how bad tech is for social relations, but a lot of people will have their TVs on. Call out all these things. Help people minimize those distractions. If you have something valuable to share with them, it will help them get the most juice out of your presentation. Now, the last thing is, I would say before you begin your presentation, also let people know what your question policy is. If you say, look, I encourage interaction, but I won't be answering questions until the end of the presentation, let them know that. Or if you want people to ask questions all throughout the presentation, you'll call on people and answer their questions, say ask questions anytime. Also, what I would do in the beginning is let people know if you're actually gonna call on them and unmute them, okay? Or if you're just gonna answer their question but not actually have them on the line, on the webinar with you. Some people get a bit jarred when you just unmute them and maybe they're hanging out at home with a kid and they have a crying baby and they don't want to be called on. So you could tell people, what I tell people is I say, hey, look, if you ask a question, I may unmute you, I may put you on the line and because I want to talk to you live, and also make sure you have a microphone, because I only answer questions for people who I'm going to actually speak with. I like that interaction. So that's how to host a webinar. It's not too complicated. Now, what I would recommend for reminders and follow-up sequences, general. So I send people a reminder 6 hours beforehand, 4 hours beforehand, and 2 hours beforehand, and also 15 minutes beforehand. Now, in a business-to-business space, you might want to be a little more discreet, and you might want to only send a reminder maybe a day, an hour, and 15 minutes beforehand, just to let people know what's going on. If you have the ability to send text message reminders for your webinar that you're doing, I think that's very useful because, I mean, let's face it, sometimes people forget or life gets in the way or calls or whatever. Hope that was helpful in teaching you how to host a good webinar presentation. If you're looking to learn more about what I do for a living, which is affiliate marketing, I'm selling other people's products on a commission-only basis, make sure to subscribe to my channel. You'll get a free course on affiliate marketing. It's 10 videos. It explains the basics of what this business is and whatnot. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell so you can be updated of future videos of mine. Leave a comment if you have any questions about this video or if you have a request for future topics for me to talk about. And also like this video if you enjoyed the material here.